if they were elected in January and immediately repeal what we've done with regard to Medicare and health care, your premiums will go up on average $312 a year immediately. For those of you on Medicare right now, that's what will happen. Medicare Trust Fund will become insolvent in 2016.
I never know where they get these numbers. But anyway, Rand Paul heard that. What do you think of that, Rand?
Well, I think Medicare, everybody agrees Medicare is about $35 trillion in the hole as is and has to be reformed. I told the president face-to-face a year and a half ago that if he would come together with us and reform, we could save Medicare and save Social Security, that he would be elected in a landslide. Several Republicans told him this, and he chose not to work with us. And I think that's really the failure of leadership, is he hasn't reached out to us at all.
Well,
he doesn't invite Republicans to do anything. You and I talked about this before,
Senator, but I think you've encountered a failure among Republicans, and you experienced this firsthand. You come up with a very bold proposal. Let's quit being mamby-pamby about this. Let's look for a big cut the first year. Let's be substantial about it. Let's quit pussyfooting around here. And they kind of left you, alone at the altar. Not everyone. I'm just saying that I remember that phenomenon. I deeply admired your guts, but they didn't want to go out with you on the third rail there.
Well, I think entitlements, if we don't fix them, and Paul Ryan has been pretty bold about talking about how to fix entitlements.
Yeah, they did the same to him. He was the House version of you. They did the same to him. You think he would have, like, did he use his deodorant that day? Because it was like everyone avoided him.
Well, I'm of the opinion that all of the old days are gone. The days where you could scare people and say, oh, Republicans are going to take away your Medicare. I don't think people believe that anymore.
You're right. Absolutely right. But yeah, here we go again. And I'm wondering if Republicans really mean what they say, and I think they do, and Democrats mean what they say about eventually getting entitlements under control, and I actually want to say that I believe they do. Is it just the election we got to get past to each side, things calm down, and that's when we get something done, or what?
I fear that maybe things will have to get worse in our country and that we'll have to approach a debt crisis before people will be serious about it, because people do worry about the politics of this, and they're afraid to say that the age for Social Security or the age for Medicare needs to gradually rise in order to save these programs. People are still afraid to say that. But I think if you're honest, I think right now the election and the population has changed, where I think they actually will reward people who are honest and who admit we have problems and who say, yes, Republicans and Democrats just need to throw out the politics and let's go ahead and fix these problems.
Well, I'm not blowing you smoke, Senator, but the reason why I've always enjoyed chatting to you is you call them as you see them, and you risk getting wrath on both sides. I mentioned the Republican thing, but you also raised some hackles recently when you criticize the Romney approach on defense spending and not giving it an inch there, in fact, wanting to boost spending there, and that something's got to give there. There's certainly room for cutting in defense. And that brought out everybody, and his uncle in the conservative movement said, no. So, defense is sacrosanct. You were saying it isn't, it shouldn't be, it's part of what should be looked at in any budget overhaul. You still feel that way?
The ultimate compromise, the only way you'll ever balance a budget, is if conservatives like myself, who believe the national defense is very important, compromise and say not every dollar spent on the military is sacred or well spent, and the liberals admit that not every dollar spent on welfare is well spent, and that we compromise and we bring both down. Right now we do compromise in Washington, but we raise military spending and we raise domestic spending every year, and that's why we're $1 trillion in the hole.
Well, I tell you what, we can find a middle ground. And not that I could broker a deal, but sometimes, as you know, Senator, it falls on me to save the country. That maybe what we could do is what you're just saying, that the Democrats should be open to reforming entitlements and at least slowing their growth. Republicans should not be so, dogmatic about defense can't be touched. That alone would get us moving toward an end game here, but we don't. Is the election magically going to present that opportunity?
Well, I think what's happening is circumstances are going to make people address this, because circumstances are getting worse. Entitlements are growing so rapidly that they're going to consume all of the money of the budget within a few years. So I think circumstances will tell all of us that we have to do it. To me, it's an inevitability. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's an inevitability that you will have to fix entitlements, because there's not enough young people and there's a lot of old people. It's a demographic shift, and we're living longer. These are facts, and they're inescapable. The question is, will we do it with this election, or are we going to wait till things get worse and we begin printing up so much money that prices begin to rise dramatically and everybody is worried about a chaotic situation, or whether we fix it in a reasonable, rational way, gradually, but get started now? That's the real question, whether we wait for chaos or we do it now.
Senator, thank you very, very much. Good seeing you again.
Thank you, Neil.
Senator